Good morning. And I literally do fucking mean good morning, because it's currently 4:22 a.m. And essentially what I've decided to do is I've decided to talk about my opinion of American Psycho. And the reason I've decided to do that is because my opinion of American Psycho is the correct one and everyone else's is incorrect. That's the end of the video. Unfortunately, I have not read American Psycho yet. I do plan to read it, but I'm very annoying when it comes to the things that I collect, and I like to collect things that I care about, and I really like American Psycho. And so if I'm going to be collecting American Psycho, I would like to get what I view as a natural copy, and by that I basically mean that I want to find it at a thrift store and be like, hey, is this American Psycho? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, cool, I want to buy that. So, unfortunately, unlike my review for Dr. Sleep, which was a very bad movie, I am going to not be able to really compare it to the book because I don't want to spoil myself for when I actually read the book. I'm doing my nails, so if I'm looking off to the side, that's why. Or it's because I'm drinking my tea. It's English breakfast or Earl Grey? No, it's Twining Earl Grey, because I don't like any other Earl Grey. Twining is the best, and you can fight me on it. Can't fight me on if American Psycho is a good— wait, no, that's not what I'm talking about. You can't fight me on whether or not my opinion of American Psycho is the correct one, because guess what, motherfucker? It is! Easiest thing to talk about first is probably the ending, because this is where I feel like a lot of people get mixed up on what's going on, which then leads into why my assessment of Patrick Bateman / American Psycho as a whole is, you know, the correct one versus everybody else's who isn't. Because the thing about American Psycho's ending is that it is, in theory, open-ended. There isn't a definite like, oh, he did kill those people, he didn't kill those people. There isn't necessarily a thing. Yes, we did see Patrick Bateman do it. And then we listened to that one guy be like, oh, what's his name? You didn't fucking— Paul Allen. You didn't kill Paul Allen. Paul Allen's not even here. Nobody fucking lives in that room. Or somebody else tells him that nobody lives in that room. Anyway, that kind of leads into a fact of like, oh, Patrick Bateman essentially imagined himself killing all of those people. But that's not really the case. Because the thing that's very important to note about Patrick Bateman and his character is that Patrick Bateman is an extremely, extremely insecure person. And if you want to be like, oh no, he's a fucking Giga Chad, one, you're wrong, and you should learn any kind of media analysis. And two, we can literally go to the scene where he kills Paul Allen and he shows him hip to be square. So he says, their early work was a little too new wave for my taste. When Sports came out in '83, I think they really came into their own commercially and artistically. The whole album has a clear, crisp sound and a new sheen of consumer professionalism that really gives the song a big boost. He's been compared to Elvis Costello. I don't know who that is, I'll be honest. But I think Huey has a far more bitter, cynical sense of humor. Next, they talk about the dog, but that doesn't fucking matter. And he tells him that no, he doesn't have a dog. Paul Allen questions about the raincoat, and in response, Patrick Bateman says, yes, it is! And he starts to play the song. In '87, Huey released this. Four? I don't know. It says F-O-R-E, and I already have dyslexia, so I can't fucking read to begin with, so I'm just gonna say that that's 4. Their most accomplished album. I think their undisputed masterpiece is Hip to Be Square. A song so catchy, most people probably don't listen to the lyrics, but they should, because it's not just about the pleasures of conformity and the importance of trends, it's also a personal statement about the band itself. And then he kills Paul Allen. Good for him. Because apparently that's Jared Leto, and Jared Leto's a weird bitch now. Not in a good way either. He has a cult. Let's talk about that for a different time. The song choice is very important in that song. The song choice is actually very important in that piece, and I actually went and listened to Hip to Be Square, and I do like it. It's on my Spotify. Okay, well, it's not actually on my Spotify. It's on my phone from when I would download music legally. Anyway, what Patrick Bateman gets out of that song is, as he says, it's not just about the pleasures of conformity and the importance of trend, it's also a personal statement about the band itself. That's something that he does. He thinks that he can get the pleasure that he is lacking from his life by conforming to what society expects of him and following those trends. Now, if we really, really want, we can go and look up hip to be square. Hip to be square. So for those of you who haven't actually listened to Hip to Be Square, it is basically as Patrick Bateman describes it. The lead singer basically describing how he used to be a very kind of like renegade dude, like, I'm a bad guy, whatever. And then he needed to get his ass in gear and become who he is, you know, in the band or whatever. I didn't decide to look up like the actual band. I just liked the song because it was funky and fresh. But he is right about the song. The song is not about, you know, how it's cool to actually just be like, I don't know, a good person. I don't want to say a good person. Just be like a normal functioning member of society. It's about how you have to conform to be able to feel good and fit in. Because there's a line in it. Let me find that one. You see them on the freeway, it don't look like a lot of fun, but don't you try to fight it. An idea whose time has come. Don't tell me that I'm crazy, don't tell me I'm nowhere. Take it from me, it's hip to be square. Basically, he says, look at the fucking homeless people. They're not conforming to society. If I don't conform to society, then I'm gonna end up just like them. And that's essentially what the song is about. And that's what Patrick Bateman sees too. That's what Patrick Bateman sees from the song. If he doesn't conform to society's standards of what he should be as a person, then he's going to get nowhere in life. Oh my god, my phone buzzed and it scared the shit out of me. What the fuck? It's my mother at 4 a.m. Okay? I don't live with you. Anyway, let's talk about Patrick Bateman and his mother, who never shows up in the picture. Oh god, I hope they talk about his mother in the book. That'd be so interesting. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Hip to Be Square and how it proves that Patrick Bateman is actually extremely insecure about himself. But I mean, that is exactly it. I don't know why I'm taking so long to explain this. Hip to Be Square is about the fact that you need to conform to society's standards so this way you can fit in. He doesn't view that he himself as, you know, without the act that he puts on, is able to conform to society's standards. And he's just very insecure about himself in general. That's why if there's any kind of scene where somebody who he views has less power than him or less authority treats him in ways that he feels that he should not be treated, he fucking loses it. There's that scene in the bar, in one of the very opening scenes, where the lady turns around after he orders something and isn't paying attention to him, and he talks about how he's gonna slit her throat and he's gonna kill her and like shit like that, because she's not giving him the respect that he feels like he deserves. And when he doesn't get that respect, he feels insecure and he takes it out with violence. Because Patrick Bateman is also conforming to society's quotation mark standards of what he should be like as a person, he decides to take his anger and frustration out on people that he views as lesser than him, because he's like, well, these people don't actually matter to society. I can do whatever I want to them because I'm better than them. And so when somebody who's in the same position as him, Paul Allen, doesn't treat Patrick Bateman with respect, that sets him off. Suddenly this person who's supposed to be like, huh, you're just like me. Both of us, together. Classy businessmen doing cocaine in stripper bathrooms. Hell yeah. Let's hang out and go to Dorsia together. I'll let you get the reservation today because I know that you can do it. When Paul Allen doesn't say that to him and immediately starts sucking him off, he doesn't like that. Because this is somebody who should see his value. This guy doesn't care. This guy is not giving him the respect that he, in quotations, deserves. And so the only way for him to actually get any satisfaction is through violence. Case in point, the lady in the bar, where he just starts bitching her out and talks about how he's gonna like kill her and like murder her and shit like that. And then there's like the ladies in the laundromat, where they're just like, dude, is this fucking blood? And he's like, it's not blood. They're like, this looks like blood, we can't clean this. And he's like, you need to clean it. And they're like, no. And he starts like yelling at them, because that's how he, you know, he feels better about himself in stressful situations. He uses the power that he has over people that he views as lower than himself, and he fucking bitches him out because he's a little pansy ass motherfucker. The tea tastes okay, if you're wondering. I've definitely had better, but that's besides the point. Anyway, suddenly he's matched with Paul Allen, somebody who in his mind is able to have everything that he wants with ease. Paul Allen is just like that. He doesn't need to try like Patrick Bateman does. He doesn't need to try to be normal. He doesn't need to try to have a fancy business card. He doesn't need to try to get into Dorsia. He just can. He can have a normal relationship. He can have a normal relationship with a woman. Patrick Bateman can't, because he doesn't feel love for anybody else other than himself. And when he sees that, he gets jealous of him because he is insecure. But now the problem is that because Paul Allen is what he views as better than himself, he can't take his frustration out on him in the exact same ways that he wants to with everybody else. So instead, he imagines it. He creates this whole big scene in his head where he's finally able to live out his essentially dream of being able to kill somebody who is better than him, who makes him feel insecure about himself. We can go later on into the movie to like the big climactic part, or the beginning of the climax of the movie, where he's like killing a bunch of people on the street and like, you know, running around because people are just like, oh, you just killed that guy, what the fuck, man? And then he's like, oh, now I gotta kill this guy because he saw me kill that guy. And then he looks down the street and there's like some other dude standing there and he's like, oh fuck, now I gotta kill this guy too, you know. But that's all starts off with the whole like dog thing, where the ATM essentially is just like, feed me this dog, feed me this dog. And he's like, what the fuck? And it's like, feed me the dog. And he's like, okay, I guess I gotta feed you the fucking dog, man. I guess I gotta feed you the dog. So he feeds the machine the dog, as any normal person would do. And a lady comes by and is like, what the fuck are you doing to that dog? Is it even a dog? I'm gonna be really mad if it's not a dog. Anyway, she's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Clearly he imagined that. Clearly he imagined the ATM machine going, bro, give me that dog. Yeah, give me that dog. You know what else he can imagine because it gives him satisfaction? He can imagine killing the lady who's going to be telling him to not do things. Even if they're, you know, totally reasonable things that he should not be doing to begin with, like feeding a fucking dog to an ATM machine. That's besides the point. That's besides the point. He can imagine that. And he freaks out because he's like, fuck, I just killed a lady on the street. And he goes running. And, you know, same thing through that. He runs through, he imagines killing all those people for the satisfaction of it. And he hides in his office. He imagines the fact that he's being chased by police. Because let's think about the logical explanation. Guys, I'm a narc in a helicopter. We just saw some guy who killed like 8 people on the street run into this office building, and we know exactly who he is because we just said his name, and fuck, what was it? Oh yeah, and so we obviously know which like room is his, so we can obviously check that one first, but we're not gonna do that and we're gonna go home. Actually, that does sound in line with police officers, but that's something else for another day. What happens next after Patrick Bateman has a little piss fit in his office and calls his lawyer and tells him that he killed a lot of people and that his lawyer is now gonna be in a lot of shit and he's gonna need his help, is he goes and he's like, hey lawyer, why the fuck didn't you call me back? He's like, because your thing was hilarious, blah, blah, blah. It reveals the fact that Paul Allen isn't even, like, in the country right now, and that he never lived in the hotel. He never lived in the, like, condo that Patrick Bateman thought that he lived in. Because the thing is that Patrick Bateman imagined killing all of the people who were better than him. Case in point, Paul Allen. Patrick Bateman did not kill Paul Allen. Patrick Bateman did not go on the killing spree outside. Who Patrick Bateman did kill? Patrick Bateman killed the random people that he found on the street. I guess this kind of falls apart. My theory kind of falls apart when we think about the whole, like, axe scene. But I guess that we can say also that, like, he imagined that one too, because that one was more of, like, a satisfaction thing and less of a need. And his killings for, like, the needs, like Paul Allen and Chainsaw One, are more so, like, it's more of a satisfaction killing. It's not because he needs to kill somebody. It's because he needs to be satisfied in killing somebody. The reason why he needs to kill those people is because those people have looked down on him. And so he needs to imagine the most brutal way possible. Whereas the other times that he's killed people, it's because he needs to feel that power over somebody else. It's not a revenge thing. It's not to get back at somebody who talked down to him. It's because he's like, I need to feel power. And that's why everybody who says that, I almost said Chad Bateman. That's why everybody who says Patrick Bateman is like a Giga Chad is a loser and doesn't know how to do any kind of media analysis. Now watch as I go and finally read the book, and it's like, hey, everything you just said is wrong. But I'm not. Take that, cunts. Dude, not tired me is gonna have, actually no, good night.